In 2018, Cedar Point changed the roller coaster world forever with the opening of Steel Vengeance. Designed by Rocky Mountain Construction and standing at 205 feet tall, 74 miles per hour, with a ride time of 2 minutes and 30 seconds, Steel Vengeance continues to be one of the greatest, if not the greatest roller coaster in the world today. In this video, I'm going to go over everything that you can expect when going to ride Steel Vengeance, everything from the entry experience, to the queue line, to the trains, to the ride's layout. I first rode Steel Vengeance back in 2022, and I actually just got back from a trip to Cedar Point, where I got to ride Steel Vengeance quite a few times again, so I feel like I have a pretty good feel for it. My name's Tyler from Staple Media, and if you enjoy this style of content, be sure to click that subscribe button. It's completely free, and it is the best way to help support the channel. With that out of the way, let's get started on talking about Steel Vengeance. Steel Vengeance is located in the very back of the park in Frontier Town, tucked behind Maverick and behind the railroad. You actually have to cross the railroad tracks in order to get to the ride. It has its own designated plaza right across the railroad tracks with that super awesome big marquee entrance sign that everyone takes photos of, and of course, the lockers. Steel Vengeance, along with a lot of rides at Cedar Point, do require you to put all of your bags in a locker, and they do cost money. When I was there, they were charging $3 for every 2 hours to put your stuff in a locker. They do have a movable locker system, though, for just $12 for the day. You can get a transferable locker where you can move your stuff to every other ride that requires a locker, and I highly suggest this. But if you don't have a bag, you just have like cell phones, maybe your keys and your wallet, and your sunglasses, that's totally okay. You can bring those in line with you. The queue line isn't really all that special. It's just a lot of cattle pens, but you do get some really good views of the layout while waiting in line. There's a couple little bits of theming here and there, mostly just themed posters explaining the story of Steel Vengeance versus Maverick and the lore of the characters like Blackjack, Digger, and Chess. But it's kind of sparse. Don't expect like Disneyland level frontier theming here. Once you get to the end of the regular queue line, you will merge with the Fast Lane Plus line. This ride does require Fast Lane Plus opposed to just regular Fast Lane. And this Fast Lane Plus line can get really long. Expect, regardless if you have Fast Lane or not, to be waiting at least half an hour for Steel Vengeance. And the main reason for that is the merge point is actually quite a bit back in the queue. You actually have to put your cell phones and wallets into a free locker about halfway through the queue. It's a really easy system. You just select a symbol and then you select a color that goes with the symbol. It's really clever how they do it. But everything must go into a locker. You do have to pass through metal detectors, and if you have anything in your pockets, the ride operators will just send you back to put your stuff into the locker. But from here, you will split off into 2 lines, regardless of if you're Fast Lane Plus or not, and this is where the line gets a little bit slow. Every other train, they'll alternate lines, so one train they'll pick from the left line, and the next train they'll pick from the right line, and then they'll go back to the left and back to the right, and so on. I'm really not a huge fan of this system. I wish that there was just one big line, kind of like they do at Siren's Curse with the metal detectors over there. There are 2 metal detectors, but it just goes back into one big line. It would definitely make things a lot quicker for Fastlane Plus. Once you board the train, you are going to notice a couple things. First of all, you are not allowed to pull down your lap bar. This is pretty standard for a lot of RMC roller coasters. I know Twisted Colossus is like this, so is Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens Tampa. Something I'm not a huge fan of, and I personally don't understand the reason, but I'm sure there is a reason. Let me know in the comments if there's a reason for that, and I'm just completely missing it. But because of this, and because the crews like to go really fast at Cedar Point, they like to have really, really good dispatch times, they are pushing that lap bar down quick, and they're pushing that lap bar down hard, so expect to be stapled. Also, you are allowed to choose your row at Steel Vengeance. There are signs that say you can't. However, on every single one of my rides, I was able to request a specific row, and every single time, except for after the park had closed, they had honored that request. I personally recommend riding Steel Vengeance towards the back. The front's fine, but the back is where it's at. Another thing you're going to notice about these restraints is there is a shin guard, and it is not very comfortable. The older RMC trains have a shin guard as well, but it's not quite as bad as the one on Steel Vengeance, such as Twisted Colossus. I don't really mind those restraints too much, but Steel Vengeance, that shin bar is not great. Once the train leaves the station, you're actually going to roll through the transfer track. I always found that interesting that the transfer track for Steel Vengeance is at the beginning of the ride, but then you are going to make a U-turn, hit a couple of bunny hills, and go up your lift. 205 feet tall. This is a beast of a roller coaster. You're then going to drop straight down. This drop is pretty good. I mean, it's honestly not my favorite RMC drop. I think that Iron Gawazi is my favorite RMC drop, but Twisted Colossus is pretty good too. I would put both of those drops over the drop on Steel Vengeance. Yes, it's big, but I honestly feel like the airtime isn't quite as intense as those other RMCs that I've done. After this, you're going to hit a bunny hill, and then you are going to hit an unbanked turn. I guess it's kind of like a big unbanked turning camelback that will slam you with ejector airtime and laterals. And then after that, you hit the best element on the ride and one of the best elements in the world, the outer bank. From the moment you reach the peak of this outer bank to the moment that you level out at the bottom, you are out of your seat floating. I believe it's like 4 or 5 seconds of straight ejector airtime. This roller coaster, I believe, still has the record for the most airtime of any in the world with over 30 seconds of airtime. Think about that. 30 seconds of airtime. That is insane. You're then going to hit the first inversion of 4, which is this roll that continues rolling, which is really, really cool. Going to hit a little wave turn all the way at the top within the structure, and then you're going to hit an element that I'm not too big of a fan of. It's like a stall, but it's super quick. It's more of a cutback. Then you got a couple more airtime hills into the mid-course brake run. Now, depending on when you go, the mid-course brake run may be hitting really hard. It may not be. Unfortunately, on this last trip when I was there, the trim brakes were hitting quite a bit, but my first time back in 2022, they were off completely. And that really could make or break the ride, because the second half, when the trim brakes are off or hitting very lightly, is absolutely insane. But when you crawl across those mid-course brake run, then it makes it not quite as good. It's still great, but it definitely isn't as good as it can be. You're going to weave through the structure, very similar like Ghost Rider. You're going to hit a couple more inversions, 2 0G rolls, both very good, very snappy. There's one moment after that 4th inversion where you come down into a valley and it kind of pops you to the side. It's a really interesting maneuver, and it always catches me off guard. And then after that, you are going to hit the finale, which is just a whole bunch of bunny hills. Most people's biggest criticism with Steel Vengeance is just how repetitive it is. It seems like every single element is just an ejector airtime pop, and honestly, I kind of understand that criticism. It's why I actually prefer Iron Gwazi to Steel Vengeance. But Steel Vengeance is still an absolutely incredible ride, even if the layout isn't as mind-blowing as you would hope with a ride of this scale. It is extremely repetitive, but if you like ejector airtime, then you're not going to complain, and I like ejector airtime, so I am not complaining. I would much rather have just a ton of ejector airtime hills than a whole bunch of elements that don't really work together. So in the end, Steel Vengeance is one of the greatest roller coasters in the world. It's not my personal favorite, however, I totally understand if you guys put it in your #1 spot. It really is that good. Try to ride this at night if you can. It's one of the best night rides that I've ever gotten in my life. And if you haven't yet been to Cedar Point to ride this thing, I highly recommend it. I'm going to be giving Steel Vengeance the final score of 10 out of 10. This is one of my few perfect roller coasters. So let me know in the comments, have you ridden Steel Vengeance? What's your favorite element about it? And I'll see you guys in the next one.